Using the videotape approach to put a gate on the memory channel. As we've seen in other episodes, trauma in many memories or when held in many nervous systems doesn't want to come out in small and digestible pieces. That's part of what trauma is. It's not meant to be felt small. Yet the distress that comes into awareness in EMDR therapy needs to come in tolerable, noticeable, and ultimately digestible chunks. If it doesn't, clients probably have defenses to manage what comes next, whether that's panic or shutdown. One of the most difficult ways to do EMDR therapy is on the edge of or beyond the client's window of tolerance. In her chapter on complex trauma, in her main text, Shapiro mentions that you can use the videotape approach from the recent events protocol to help fractionate the memory into smaller pieces. I'm providing my script for doing that attached to this podcast, and I'd like to describe what we're trying to do in it. Again, don't do this with healthy people. Do EMDR exactly the way we trained you. Modifications like this, when they're not needed, are done because the therapist can't tolerate a healthy client feeling big things, will likely prevent the client from accessing their associative memory networks in ways that are most helpful. However, if you're working with someone with a small window of tolerance, we need the distress that comes to ripple inside of that. If that's our goal, it doesn't make sense to activate this memory in phase 3 by going into the worst part of it first. But it seems to me that we should do some type of phase 3. The approach that I've outlined makes modifications to phases 3 and 4 only. The rest of standard protocol is done as normal. As you can see in the script that I've provided, we're careful not to strongly activate the memory in phase 3. For instance, it asks about how big this memory has been in your whole lifespan on a 0 to 10 scale, which is less activating than how we traditionally get the SUDs. As we move into phase 4, we simply ask the client, in their own awareness, to identify the beginning and the ending of this memory. Then ask them to play the memory from the very first frame, and as soon as any distress comes, we ask them to let them know with their hand, and we immediately ask them to close the memory channel. Then they start tapping and noticing. What we're doing here is we're asking them to take a little bite of the memory, then notice, 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 notice until the distress in that bite is largely metabolized. Then we ask the client to play the video forward to find the next piece of distress. Something remarkable happens most of the time when using the videotape approach. When the client does arrive at the worst part, there's usually much less distress in it than the client anticipated. This is because they notice their way to it, like a machine that is eating away at the foundation of the mountain. When you get to the peak of it, the whole mountain starts to collapse. It's elegant and much more tolerable. We're not done with phase 4 until the client can play the whole memory and there's no distress on any channel. Often this involves multiple playing throughs of the memory. You don't need to constantly check the SUDs. Just notice the distress when it appears until the client can't find any when playing the video. After that, check the SUDs and clean up any debris. Then move to phase 5 using standard protocol. With event trauma, clients can work on much larger events than they might be able to tolerate otherwise. This approach will not save you from the big existential loneliness that comes when working on attachment wound targets that tend to bring everything to a halt like quicksand. What it will do, it'll allow you to get stuck in the quicksand a little lower, which may allow us to use attachment or parts intervention sooner to help the session wind down in more tolerable ways. Again, the videotape approach doesn't give you a bigger boat of adaptive information to land a bigger memory. It lets you reel the fish in using strategies that can keep the boat from flipping or keep your line from snapping. There are some times, not all the time, when we need to work on an event trauma memory that is larger than I'd recommend, but the client needs to tackle it. At these times, I'm likely to use the videotape approach. It will significantly increase the chance that the client will resolve that memory in a session or two, assuming there's enough adaptive information present somewhere in the client's nervous system. To be clear, this is a restricted protocol. Shapiro says you can do things like this with clients with complex trauma when sound clinical guidance requires it. Give it a try. My hunch is that this is a game changer with many of your most severely traumatized clients, and as soon as you no longer need it, and clients can tolerably resolve memories without it, remove constraints and let things go where they go for the broadest range of generalization possible.